Welcome to Reason VR. Today we're reviewing the Oculus Quest 2 headset. As you know, Oculus is owned by Facebook, and please note that you need a Facebook account to use the headset before we go any further. The Quest was launched in late 2020, and Oculus described it as their newest, most advanced, all-in-one VR system yet. Facebook's Vice President of Reality Labs, Andrew Bosworth, is reported to have said that it has outsold all of its Oculus predecessor headsets combined. So let's take a look at this gadget. To start with, I'll give you the fast summary for those who are very familiar with all the jargon and the units of measurement used in the VR world. But if you want a description which explains each measurement and puts each measurement into context, then you can skip to the full briefing in this video. The start point for the full briefing is marked on the timeline below the video. In terms of value for money, the Oculus Quest 2 is arguably the best standalone VR headset available. I've seen this opinion expressed from several sources in fact. The display refresh speed was 72Hz at launch and can now support 90Hz applications. The display resolution is 1832 by 1920 pixels per eye, which puts it very close to the top of the standalone headset rankings. Based on measurements from a company called Infinite in the Czech Republic, the Quest 2 has a horizontal field of view of around 89 degrees plus or minus 4 degrees, and a vertical field of view of about 93 degrees plus or minus 5.1 degrees. That compares with the natural field of view of about 170 degrees by 130 degrees. There's also a 3-stage IPD adjustment. The memory options are 64GB or 256GB. Most software programs for the Quest 2 are under 4GB in size, so assuming an average of 2GB, the 64GB version would probably let you store about 30 programs, but I've seen one program that is 10GB in size. The RAM is 6GB. The headset weight is 503 grams and the weight of each controller is 126 grams with no battery installed. The weight felt comfortable for me. The Quest 2 has fixed foveated rendering, which is of course the feature which reduces resolution at the edge of the lenses when performance is tight. The play space can be stationary or room scale, and room scale requires a minimum of 6.5 feet by 6.5 feet of floor space, or about 2 meters by 2 meters in metric measurements. The speakers and microphone are integrated into the headset, and you can use 3.5mm headphones also if you wish. There's about 2 to 3 hours of battery life, closer to 2 hours if you're playing games and closer to 3 hours if you're watching video. The charge time is about 2.5 hours. The Oculus Link, which is a special wire basically, enables you to connect the Quest 2 to a PC so that you can use software designed for the Oculus Rift. System on the chip is a Qualcomm Snapdragon XR2 platform. The retail price, including controllers in the USA, is $299 for the 64GB and $399 for the 256GB version. In the UK, by way of comparison, the price is £299 for the 64GB version and £399 for the 256GB version. Okay, so that was a brief summary. Now for the extended description of the Quest 2. Firstly, the image quality, and I'm going to show you a bit of video from the Oculus introductory video which helps you to get the hang of the controls and gives you a first taste of the VR experience. But remember that what you are looking at is dependent on what you are using to view the video, so you can't see the quality of the image that you would get if you use the headset yourself. The image is delivered using Fast Switch Liquid Crystal Display or Fast Switch LCD, which just means that the number of times the picture refreshes per second is greater, thus making the image smoother. The Quest 2 operates at 90Hz, which means that the image is refreshed 90 times a second. How close does 90Hz get in terms of matching what you see with your eyes in real life, you may wonder? Well, it's a complicated subject. In real life, what you perceive depends on a combination of the light going into your eyes, how much light is then fed up the optic nerves into your brain, and what your brain does with the information it receives. However, the indications are that by the time you get to 90Hz, you aren't going to notice much lag in the image even if you move your head quickly. At the high end of the headset specifications, you can get some VR headsets that reach 120Hz, at which point I'm not aware that a human can perceive any delay between the images that are being refreshed. Next up on the image quality, we have the resolution. There's two elements you have to consider when you hear figures about the resolution. Those are the field of view and the number of pixels. The field of view is a combined horizontal and vertical area you can see out of the headset. By way of reference, a human can see up to about 170 degrees horizontally and 130 degrees vertically as a maximum without moving the head. Based on measurements from a company called Infinite that is based in the Czech Republic, the Quest 2 has a horizontal field of view of around 89 degrees plus or minus 4 degrees and a vertical field of view of about 93 degrees plus or minus 5.1 degrees. The plus or minus variation in measurements is caused by different head shapes, eye separation distances and headset positions. This field of view determines the area across which the number of pixels in the image will be distributed. Okay, in terms of the number of pixels, or put another way, the number of little chunks into which the headset field of view is split, the greater the number of chunks, the better the image will be and the more details you can see. It will look crisper with less blurriness. At the moment, no VR headset comes anywhere close to matching the resolution of the human eye, so it'll be obvious that a VR image you see is not the real thing. There's no fear of mixing up VR and reality currently. So what we're focused on when counting pixels on a VR headset is the number of pixels relative to other VR headsets. In this respect, the Quest 2 has 1832 pixels horizontally and 1920 vertically per eye, which puts it at the top of the standalone headset range. By standalone, I mean that all you need is a headset and the two hand controllers to make things work. There's no need to place other devices around a room in order to monitor your movement, and there's no need to attach the headset to a separate computer. All standalone headsets also necessarily have inside-out tracking, i.e. cameras facing out of the headset to keep track of your movement. There's one arguable disadvantage in terms of the image quality because of the LCD screen. That is because organic light emitting diodes or OLED screens, the alternative, are normally thought to provide the best colours, and blacks are more black with OLED. However, the trade-off you get with LCD is that for a given cost you get a higher pixel density and faster refresh rates, which makes the image clearer. The Quest 2 has 3-stage interpupillary distance or IPD adjustment. Your interpupillary distance is the gap between the centres of your pupils. In other words, the distance between the black centres of your eyes. The common range of interpupillary distances goes from about 58mm to 68mm. 3-stage adjustment means that you can choose one of 3 different settings for the distance between the lenses in the headset in order to more closely match them with your IPD. The more closely the distance between the lenses matches your IPD, the clearer the image you will get when using the headset. The 3 possible settings on the Quest 2 are 58, 63 and 68mm. The Quest 2 also uses fixed foveated rendering. This reduces the resolution at the edge of the lenses when the processing speed of the headset is at the limit. In other words, with fixed foveated rendering, there's more chance that the image will remain good in the centre of the lenses even if the headset is operating at near its maximum data processing capabilities. This should help with the longevity of the headset as software becomes more processing intensive over time. This image from Oculus helps to explain this concept further. In the white areas at the centre, every pixel of the texture is computed independently by the graphics processing unit or GPU. However, in the red areas, only half of the pixels are calculated, a quarter for the green, an eighth for the blue, and 1/16 for the magenta areas. The missing pixels are interpolated or estimated from the calculated pixels. In terms of memory storage, you have a choice of 64GB or 256GB. How far will that take you, you may ask? Well, at the top end, memory-hungry software on the Quest 2 may require 10GB of memory. However, most software you use on the Quest 2 requires under 4GB at the time of making this video. In terms of your play space, in other words the area in which you can move around, you can choose stationary or room scale. Room scale requires a minimum of 6.5 feet by 6.5 feet of floor space, or about 2 meters by 2 meters in metric measurements. The speakers and microphone are integrated into the headset, and you can also use 3.5mm headphones if you wish. There's a small speaker inside the headset on each side, and the sound is piped through the side straps to a vent beside each of your ears. Oculus reports about 2 to 3 hours of battery life for the Quest 2, closer to 2 hours if you're using interactive software, and closer to 3 hours if you're watching video. The charge time is reported to be about 2.5 hours. That seems to be consistent with our experience. Oculus states that the Quest 2 uses the Qualcomm Snapdragon XR2 chip platform. It would be a whole video by itself to look into the XR2, but essentially what Qualcomm speaks to is this chip giving you high-end 360-degree graphics, and high fidelity sound. I've left a link below the video to the XR2 if you want to look into that in more detail yourself. Ergonomics now. The headset weighs 503 grams and each hand controller without batteries inserted weighs 126 grams. They felt pretty comfortable for me and I didn't personally notice any stress or problems after wearing the headset for about an hour at a time. We're all different however, so I'd suggest being careful and that you only extend the amount of time you use the headset for gradually, taking plenty of breaks and having plenty of rest before trying it again if you notice any problems. In terms of a peripheral which enhances capabilities, you have the Oculus Link. This is a special wire basically which enables you to connect the Quest 2 to a PC so that you can use software designed for the Oculus Rift. Price wise, at the moment, the Oculus Quest 2 including controllers retails in the USA for $299 for the 64GB version and $399 for the 256GB version. In the UK, by way of comparison, the price is £299 for the 64GB and £399 for the 256GB version. That's all for now. See you in another video or take a look at our website at reasonvr.com.